Mr. President, it's just a few hours ago when you held a press conference for the Czech media. Could you just briefly review what you talked about for our English-speaking audience?
Well, it has been turbulent, albeit short week, only 4 days. Tomorrow it's Easter holiday. Well, I should start probably with the fact that, with all the respect to our German friends, the word, which is not very sounding, Kurzarbeit, has been transferred or put into practice by our government and later by the parliament. It has been changed to the name antivirus, which sounds only slightly better. But the main issue is that indeed, it's a matter of fact, those who had to send people home but have to pay them still the wages, they can ask for a compensation of those payments, not 100%, but yes, indeed, a substantial one. So it is a help, no doubt. Second, Parliament has approved all the measures which government has already adopted last week, which asked for the parliamentary approval. Out of that, I would probably single out the possibility to postpone the repayments of the credits taken in the past for 6 months, which is again a substantial help. Then the other thing is amendment to the law on the Czech Central Bank. That's an issue which everyday entrepreneur does not probably register, but it gives the central bank a much more firepower how to help the commercial banks further on to provide some easing conditions for the businesses. Well, last but not least, the parliament gave the green light to the government, and government has used it to prolong the emergency situation of this country till April 30. That sounds like more worrying news, but the light at the end of the tunnel has been observed for the first time, I think, today, when some of the shops which were closed so far, namely the hobby markets, for the people who would like to do their homeworks during the stays at home, opened, and this will be followed by more opening next week. So government and the parliament has done its part of work, but I must, a part of this positive review, give one very strong critical remarks. We are very unhappy how slow the state administration is, or I would even say can be, because sometimes people themselves, they work hard indeed, definitely much more than 8 hours per day, but the administration is not ready to react quickly enough for such an emergency situation we are in. And this is what I consider to be the biggest problem, because now we are not speaking about the current period of the emergency, but now we are speaking how to restart the economy at the end of the pandemics as soon as possible and as strong as possible.
The matter of the rent was a discussed topic over the past days. Very rush discussion went about it. Do you have an opinion on this?
That's a tricky one, because you definitely must understand those owners of the shops which have placed their shops in the houses or in the real estate assets which are in a rather busy streets, etc., just because they would like to have a business there. And when the demand for the business, or when they had to close, the demand went to zero, or they had to close because of the order of the government, suddenly these people really struggle to pay the rents, which sometimes in those very attractive places is very high indeed. On the other hand, you must also understand those who own the assets and they provide the spaces for the rentals, that if we leave them without income from the rents, because they operate under certain conditions, they must have a special reserved accounts in the banks where they must put money aside. They live in slightly different worlds than many other businesses. It's also quite a hit to them as well. So I am a little bit uneasy with the procedure of the government, because I think it would be better to be able to divide the burden, both between those who are renting the spaces, those who own them and rent them, and also the government should be more active here in helping both sides.
Mr. President, you have mentioned that you will have a conference call with the Prime Minister tonight. Do you know the topics for tonight's discussion?
Yes, but I'm more a listener than active participant. As a representative of the real economy, I take part in a discussion which I consider to be, in the long term, the most important one. And this has to do with the state guarantees or state portfolio guarantees to the system of the Czech commercial banks, so that they are able to provide the loans, either the bridging loans for those who are in necessity of them, or the development loans for the future during the restart of the economy, to those who under the normal market condition without such a state guarantee wouldn't be able to take such a loan from the banks, and banks, given their requirements on their capital adequacy and other rules, they wouldn't be able to provide this financing to provide those loans. So this I consider to be extremely important, especially when I see that our neighboring countries like Austria, like Germany, Switzerland and others, they provided support of this type, which cumulatively is sometimes on the level of 15% of their GDP, which in our situation is more than 700 billion crowns, and the government is much below that. And we would like to be able to see that government agrees with providing guarantees to the system of commercial banks so that they can finance the restart of the Czech economy.
Okay, so I keep the fingers crossed.
So do I.
And I wish you, by the way, a happy Easter.
Yes, and I would like to wish a happy Easter to all the expats and English-speaking people who still are here, locked down in the Czech Republic, and looking forward to restart their business. Enjoy the Easter. All the health to you.